Sally gets the facts from several sources, and Victor and Nick face off against Adam. Adam confronts Chance, Billy tells Lily the truth, and Chelsea suffers an emotional breakdown on today's episode of The Young and the Restless. Victor tells her happy father at Newman Enterprises that she is fully back in the game. His reaction to her video conference was one of approval, but he did urge her to tread carefully while looking to acquire further businesses. Victoria insists that all of her acquisition ideas make financial sense. After some convincing, she agrees to meet with him for advice. As Nick arrives, Victoria leaves. Nick's sister's boyfriend Victor wants to know what Nick thinks of his sister's attitude. He believes she's being excessive about cleaning up the mess Ashlyn made at the company, but he understands why she's doing it. She loved him, they speculate, and now she believes she has a lot to prove. If she wants to prove herself, Victor says she should do it in spades. Adam is appreciative of Chance's chance meeting him at the park. Chance's sole purpose in showing up was to break the news that the Ashlyn lock probe is complete. He need not scrounge about for more dirt. Get over it. Since Adam has seen the evidence against Victor, which is quite strong evidence which Chance chose to overlook, he no longer believes that he can. He feels the detective would be wise to rectify the situation now. If evidence emerged that you covered up a crime as a favor to your father-in-law, it would be really horrible for you, he said. Chance is curious as to where Adam found this. A police lackey may have left his laptop on a bench, Adam sneers. He's well aware that he can't buy off Chance, so he wonders if Victor scared him into submission. Neither Chance nor Adam will be able to faze him. Chance responds to the Newman's claim that he has been disoriented by saying, "You are the one who has lost his path. You are taking a very risky course of action." He is dismayed that Adam has reverted to his destructive behavior in pursuit of vengeance. Adam finds that ironic, given that Chance is the one ignoring the evidence. On the other hand, Chance argues that Adam is destroying his life. He has turned his back on his family and Sally, stolen a police computer, and threatened a police officer who was once his buddy. Adam says his dad should be punished for how he's treated the family in the past. And the truth, of course, back when you were younger, Chance, you had faith in the truth. At Chancellor Winters, Lily invites Nate and Devin to sit down and have a conversation to make sure everyone is on the same page. She prompts Nate to begin the conversation. When Billy arrives, Nate plans to wait. Lily explains that he and Chelsea are wrapping up their last podcast and won't be able to join them. Devin feels sad since they had finally found their rhythm with the show. It was Billy's idea, according to Lily, and she approves. She then turns back to Nate and inquires as to the nature of his concerns. Nate has been calculating the costs associated with throwing their very own music festival, and the results look good. As his cousin describes the outcome as a victory, Devin subtly shakes his head. Devin, when it's his turn to speak, knows he's about to disappoint Nate, but he insists that putting on a music festival is not the best use of their resources at the moment. Nate claims ignorance because he hasn't seen the study results. The amount of money required is so high that Devin doesn't even need to see it to know that it's prohibitive. It's quite interesting to Lily. Devin argues that since this is their first year, they shouldn't waste money on a venture that could not succeed. It's Devin's decision, but Nate thinks it's too conservative. In order to leave, he simply leaves. Devin gives a little shake of his head and glances at Lily. With Chelsea kissing him passionately in the podcast studio, Billy pulls away. If he offended her in any way, he apologizes. One could say that was an error. Chelsea feels terribly regretful and has no idea what prompted her behavior. She acts as if it never happened and is adamantly opposed to discussing it. Billy gives her a suspicious glance as she clears her throat and begins the podcast. Following Chelsea's explanation that Billy has decided to prioritize their day work, they will engage in a round of farewells. Chelsea reflects on their past breakups and recalls the time they dated. When it comes time to wrap up, Billy does his best to steer the conversation toward fresh starts. Billy gives a speech in which he expresses his gratitude to his audience and discusses what an incredible journey this has been for him. The time has come to say goodbye. Sally is taken aback when Adam suddenly shows up at Newman Media and says he wants to make amends to her. She then motions for you to take the mic. He shuts the door and apologizes for the tense exchange. In other words, she tells him he was manipulative. Adam apologizes for what happened and hopes tensions will be reduced between them going ahead. Despite what some may say, Sally does not believe that she was ever antagonistic. Not even when he was being quite harsh on her, Adam concedes she wasn't. They have an innate mutual understanding, and he still considers her to be the one person he can be completely honest with. Sally values your appreciation. He can vent. Adam says he learned about the incident via police report. Sally wants to know how somebody comes across an official police report. Adam would rather not talk about it, but the fact is that it contains crucial information about Ashland's death inquiry that Chance has chosen to disregard. Sally utters an expletive. She had seen through his ruse of seeking a sympathetic ear and has realized that he requires assistance in defeating Victor. He tried to get one over on her by bringing up their past. Adam thinks this story is a game changer and says she should run with it. He'll supply her with the data she needs to do the study. With just one publication, she can expose his father's cover-up and set the record straight. Devon, at Chancellor Winters, wants Lily to know that his disapproval of Nate's plan has nothing to do with her. She is aware of his prior remarks about caution, but notes that he did not even bother. Devon will review it and insists that it is simply business. The firm is successful, and he intends to keep it that way by avoiding ill-advised expansion. Chelsea tells Billy in the podcast booth that she feels better if they don't discuss the kiss. He insists that she keep up the podcast, but she says it wouldn't be the same. He then inquires as to her future plans. She will have to sort that out for herself. Chance informs Nick on the patio of Crimson Lights that he had believed they could all move on from the Locke case, but that someone had gotten their hands on the evidence from the night Ashland was murdered. Nick knows it's Adam in an instant. Sally warns Adam that publishing his tale would be the end of her time at Newman Media. Adam challenges her desire to work for a man who fabricated an accident to hide the truth that his favorite son murdered a man to protect his daughter. Incredulous, Sally exclaims, "What?" Sally challenges him, asking if he expects her to believe that Nick killed Ashland. Adam ponders that the old man's boxing talents must have been passed down to him, as it just took a single blow to knock him out. Locke fell and smashed his head on the hearth, ultimately leading to his demise. "Oh my God," Sally exclaims in shock. This, she concludes, sounds like self-defense, so she can't see why Victor would try to hide it. Adam explains to her that even the chess grandmaster can't help but give in and play. The story needs to convey the fact that his siblings had zero involvement. He insists that the story is worthy of an award. Sally is worried that no one will hire her as she sues her own boss. People will look up to her, Adam says, since she's doing the right thing. Sally has doubts that this is the best course of action because it will reveal Chance's involvement. Even though Adam offered him a chance to make things right, he declined. To which Sally replies, "So now Chance is just someone else you're willing to throw under the bus in your war against Victor? The same way you treated me." Adam didn't just cast her aside, he shielded her from the consequences of the all-out war he was about to launch. "As she does," Sally sighs. "So you've come clean at last," he said. Nate complains to Elena at Society about Devon, who is refusing to give him any kind of chance. Elena understands his motivation to leave his stamp on the organization, but she doesn't know why he's so agitated about it. Nate was hoping his second act would be more successful, but thus far it has been nothing but a source of stress. If he doesn't like it, Elena proposes he leave. There is yet hope for Nate, which begs the question, if he did leave, where would he go? A return to medicine is an option, according to Elena. Eventually, he was able to shut that door. Her speculation is that business may resume there. Despite his distaste for Chancellor Winters, Nate has no intention of leaving. As Devon is leaving Chancellor Winters, Billy shows up. When they were alone, Lily asked how it went. Did the audience cry when they found out he and Chelsea were breaking up? Billy scowls grimly. He explains that he and Chelsea had an uneasy exchange today. Inquiring, "How so?" Lily says, Billy claims that he and Chelsea were joking about, but Chelsea interpreted it as more. "She gave me a kiss. She kissed you." Lily gasps in shock. Billy informed her she was misreading the situation if she felt lonely. "Should I worry?" Lily wonders. Chloe calls Chelsea to see if anything has happened while she was at Crimson Lights. Chelsea does not want to elaborate, but she did something stupid and now she feels terrible. Assuring Sally tells Adam at Newman Media that after learning the truth, she isn't sure why she wanted to know it in the first place. Adam didn't intend any harm toward her. To which Sally responds, "You couldn't trust me enough to let me all the way in, could you?" Adam assumes that she would have tried to dissuade him from going through with it. Adam thinks that now that she knows what it's like to be CEO, she won't want to give up the position. Sally feels it insulting that he assumes he knows what's best for her and that she should be grateful to him for it. Sally hoped that finding out why he broke up with her would help her move on. She hoped they were on to something big, and if Adam is to be believed, they very certainly did. Given that retribution is always his top priority, Sally doesn't think they can recover from this. Nothing he says now will change the fact that he couldn't trust her with his secret. Now that Sally sees it, she knows they both seem heartbroken as she tells him this is the beginning of the end. Even though she appreciates the scoop, she can't guarantee anything. She can no longer be expected to comply with his demands. I just go with the flow now. Having said that, she leaves her workplace. While working for Newman Enterprises, Sally questioned Victoria, "Am I interrupting?" After the video chat, Victoria asks if she is in agreement with the points mentioned. Sally is, but she says that she must attend to another matter while she's in town. Victoria inquires as to the nature of her inquiry. According to Sally, it's Adam. It has Victoria wondering if they're back together. Sally insists this isn't going to happen, but he did approach her today and claimed to have proof regarding Ashlyn's death that would paint the Newmans in a negative light. The door is shut by Victoria. Sally says he asked her to write about it in the paper. Victoria isn't shocked by Adam's assault. She's been anticipating it. She wonders if he is careless or so hurt that he no longer cares that he showed his hand. Nick and Victor have a confrontation with Adam at the society. Nick explains that they are aware he has discovered some data and then asks, "What do you want? What's at stake here, blackmail? Is it his hope that Vic be removed from his position as CEO? You know that's not going to happen, right?" Victor asks Adam. "There's something wrong with me, not with the world." Adam is upset that he had to be removed, and Victor counters that Adam always manages to play the victim, even when he's the aggressor. A fight breaks out between the two as Adam accuses Victor of not saving him from death since he was involved in covering up the murder of H.E. Montalvo. "You wrecked my life." Victor and Nick assumed he had accepted this reality. Adam is concerned about whether or not Nick has accepted their father's many safeguards for him. In order to answer the question, how can you pack murder into a little neat box? Those emotions won't simply go away. The guilt he felt as a child returns every time he thinks about his mother's farm. Though it happened by accident, he still wonders if, on some level, he wanted the man to be hurt badly. Adam asserts that Nick will also be mulling over these ideas. He faces Victor again and explains that he has changed his mind about working for Victoria. "The only thing I want, maybe, is for justice to be done." Vic tells him he's taking a risk by playing. "Please refrain from doing so." Exiting the room, Adam. Billy tells Lily at Chancellor Winters that the incident with Chelsea solidified his decision to leave the podcast. He assumes that Chelsea is simply lonely or confused. The absence of her in his life left him feeling a little adrift, so he can relate. Good answer, Lily thinks to herself. Now that he has completed his education, Billy is ready to take on the role of Chief Operating Officer full-time. She fills him in on the dispute that has arisen between Nate and Devon regarding the proposed music festival. This time, Billy understands Devon. Lily agrees but believes it's brilliant that the event is being held at all. Chancellor Winters should absolutely be a part of that. Adam is standing in the park, overcome with emotion, when Chelsea comes walking by. Sally acknowledges Victoria's heads up on Adam and expresses her gratitude to her at Newman Enterprises. She wants to know how they left off. Sally claims that after thanking him for the information, she referred to him as a bastard for the pain he had caused her. Victoria inquires as to whether or not she rejected his offer to publish the piece. Even though she didn't use those exact words, Sally came across as very insistent at the time. Why? After dismissing the concept, Victoria muses, "This could be useful if you didn't shoot it down altogether."